So today I'm actually going to show you how to make and paint these beautiful blooms. We're going to start with the poppies. And the reason why I'm doing this is because some people say to me, I'm not creative. I can't paint. How on earth do you do that? Well, I'm telling you, you can do it. We all have got that yearning inside of us to do something with our hands and to make something absolutely beautiful. And some of you don't think you can, and you're even a little bit intimidated by what other people have done, and you think you're going to make a mess. And you know what? Maybe you will make a mess once or twice, but each time you try, you're going to get better and better and better. And then one day you're going to do something that's absolutely wow, and you're going to go, oh my word, I just didn't think I could do it. And I am going to say, I told you so. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to start with these poppies, and what you actually need to equip yourself with is obviously some paper. You need some various shades of red. So I've got crimson, I've got cadmium, I've got fluoro, and I've got something that we call floral coral. I've got white and black, and then I've got different shades of green. I've got paintbrushes, I've got a palette, and I have a towel. This I use to wipe my brush off. All right, well, there's no time like the present. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. So what we are going to put on our palette, excuse my very messy palette, as you can see, it is quite well utilized. A bit of crimson, a bit of cadmium, and a bit of floral coral. Okay, so I'm going to actually do this, and I work in acrylics. Acrylics dry very quickly, and I'm also going to use a little bit of fluoro red. Okay, so we're ready to go with all our reds. So we get ourselves a nice thin paintbrush. This one is size 1, and all I'm going to do is, and what I constantly do is wet my paintbrush, because like I said, the acrylic is very dry, and I'm just making a couple of squiggles basically, and I'm going to do 4 of them. And there we go. So there we've got our 4. Now what I'll do is, because like I said, acrylic dries very quickly, I'm basically going to do 1 flower at a time. So I'm going to go to my cadmium red. I'm going to be quite generous with it on my paintbrush, and I am going to start just popping it around there, filling in that area, a little bit more paint, a bit more water, and I'm just going to do that. Fill in that area, quite generous with the paint, a little bit more water on my brush. Oh. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a bit of floral coral, dip it in floral coral, and I'm just going to mess with it in there. And as you can see, as the two combine, it gives you the most beautiful swirls, and it also gives you an idea of depth, which is what we are looking for. Okay, so now on to the next one. Now basically what would have happened is, if I'd done all 4 in the cadmium red and then come back to do the floral coral, my cadmium red would have already been quite dry. So to get those beautiful swirls would have been, yeah, it wouldn't have actually been as effective. So there, and now I'm back in my cadmium red, and I'm just swirling it around there. Right, now we're on to the next one. And as you can see, I'm leaving a gap in the middle of all of them. If you forget at some stage to leave the gap, it's not the end of the world, but you'll see why I do it. Okay, a little bit of the floral coral. And I'm generous with this paint. I am generous with it. I don't like these dry looking lines around the ends here, so I add a little bit of water to my brush and I just play around there. Okay, a bit more floral coral, and I swirl it in like that. Right here. I can add a little bit of fluoro red if I want to. A little bit of fluoro. Okay. Add a little bit of more. Want a bit more of a swirl there. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to get to our black. A little bit of black on my palette, and I am going to very generously add black to the middle. And immediately you can see the poppies are coming to life. And you can see I'm just dotting it in. I'm very liberal with my black. Okay. Go. Like, what's great about black is it covers everything. So if you have felt that you haven't left your center area big enough, you just go over the red and you can see that does that. Now what I want to do, while I'm hoping that black is going to dry quite nicely, I just want a little bit more of the crimson red. And I just want to play around with a couple of swirls with that. Maybe a little bit along the edge. Maybe a little bit towards the inside. Maybe a bit towards the edge again. All the different reds creating the beautiful idea of depth. Okay, now what we can also do is take our very fine paintbrush again, our number 1. I'm going to dip it. Just do a finer line. There we go. That's exactly what I want. And then I am going to grab myself some white. Pop white onto my palette. Just like this. A little bit of white. And I am really dunking my white. As you can see, my tip is really nice and fat and bulging with paint. And in some cases, I'm actually going to go right outside. There we go. Really nice, generous dots. As many as you like. And I just love the way you actually see the flowers start to come to life. As soon as my paintbrush starts to pick up the black of the center of the flower, I just add a little bit more white to it. All right, so there we've got that. We can add a little bit of white. There we go. Right. And now what we're going to do, we're going to get some of our greens, because we're going to add a little bit of foliage to the background. So I've got 3 different greens. I've got a light green, which is covered in paint, as you can see. I've got a sap green, and then I'm going to use an emerald green. I just need to open these because these 2 are still closed. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my medium-sized brush. Okay, so you may say to yourself, but now I've got these flowers. What on earth am I going to do with these flowers? And I'm going to say to you, well, if you use the flowers just as they are, you could get yourself some brown paper, do some flowers on them, and make your very own wrapping paper. Or you can get yourself some brown paper bags like they used to use when you went to the shopping centers to buy groceries, those brown paper bags. And you could do a couple of decorations on them with these bloemen, which is flowers. And basically, you could use them as gift bags, because if you have seen lately how expensive gift bags are to put a prezi in. Okay, so now all I'm doing now is I'm taking my 3 different greens. So now I've got my emerald. I'll put an emerald there and an emerald there, just as I see fit, and an emerald there and an emerald there. Then I'm going to take my sap, and I'm going to do a little bit of sap and a little bit of sap and a sap and a sap and a sap. And then I'm going to take my light green, which is my favorite because it's the brightest. So obviously that would draw my attention the most. And I'm going to do that. And that is going to give me the most divine poppies. Is that not? Now you could actually just imagine you took that and you times it and you times it and you made this whole piece of paper full of those poppies. How absolutely magnificent would that look? Absolutely magnificent. You could do a gift card. Again, I'm talking price and I'm saying, have you seen how expensive gift cards are at the moment? And how wonderful actually to make for someone a gift card. You could design your own t-shirt, buy a blank t-shirt, or you could simply do something like this, sign your name at the bottom, put it on a frame and put it on the wall. And there are other flower designs I'm going to show you how to make. And then obviously what is beautiful is once you've got the other flower designs as well, you can combine them like I did in the painting behind me. And you know what, here I can just play until my heart's content. So that, dear people, is our beautiful poppies. And the next tutorial, I'm actually going to show you how to take these poppies and to put them into a vase of flowers, because we can, and it's such fun. The next step is making ourselves the vase that we are going to place under here, so it appears that our poppies are actually sitting in a vase. All right. So maybe some of you are a little bit hesitant to freehand a vase. So a very good idea, I've got a piece of paper here, I fold it in half, and then what I do on the one half, I fold it in half like that, and I draw a vase. Any type of vase I would like. So say I would like a vase that looked like that. And then I cut it out, and basically when I open it up, I've got a full vase, which is exactly what I did here. I went for a slightly shorter one. It was a piece of paper like that. I folded it in half. I did a vase, kind of how I would like my vase to look, cut it out, and there I have got my template for a vase. So currently I'm waiting for these poppies to dry. As soon as they have dried, I'm going to take my vase and I'm going to pop it underneath here. Basically, I want my flowers to be overflowing the lip of the vase. So I don't want the flowers to stand like that and you to see a whole lot of stems. That's not what I want at all. I want my vase to be disappearing behind my flowers, because to me, that will just look so beautiful. Okay, so now we wait. Okay, it's not going to help to blow, but thank goodness it's acrylic and it doesn't take long. Our poppies are more or less dry. What I've done, I've got myself some masking tape and I laid it on the table and then drew some pencil lines on it. All right, now you're going to see what I'm going to do. And then I cut the masking tape into strips. So here you see, I've cut my masking tape into strips and I am going to just cut that so they're all loose. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my little template, and like I said before, I'm going to hold my template underneath my flowers like that. Hopefully I don't think they're 100% dry, but that's just me being eager to show you what we're going to do. Okay, so for those of you who want to draw your vase freehand, that's absolutely fine. But for those of you who feel a little bit daunted about that, well, then I've shown you what to do. Okay, so now we've cut our template into our, masking tape into strips. And we are going to, now you can do it all zigzaggy lines. I'm going to show you one that I did that was zigzaggy lines, so you can have a look there. But this I'm going to do more or less straight lines. I think again, if you worry that your lines are not straight enough, you can do the zigzag lines. Now I think I'm going to make it a little bit wider. And what I do is I don't put my first strip at the bottom because we want our first strip to be in paint. And I actually don't think I cut enough strips. So I wonder if I can, no, I'm going to have to cut myself some more strips, which is no problem. I'll cut myself, there we go, like that. And I think I need to actually, okay, let's take that there. And then we just need, I don't know if you can see that, I've stuck it down and I'm just using a piece of paper just to draw lines like that, some of which are not very straight. Let's get you back there. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure our strips are nice and tight. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of black. You can choose whatever color you like. I'm going to choose a fattish paintbrush. I just want to make sure I don't want the paint to seep underneath, which can happen. And I'm just going to dot that on, right, just like that. Not going too close to the edges yet. I'll do those last. There we go. There, the bottom. So I'm at the bottom now. Obviously I want that to be nice and straight. I go up there, I go there, and then my last two little stripes here. I may go under here because the other paint is lifting it up, but I will show you how to do a little cheat once we're done. If your paint is seeped or if your line is skew, you don't have to panic. We can sort that out. Okay, so now I'm going to get a thinner paintbrush. Not that thin, a little bit thicker. And I'm just going to do my edges because I want my vase to actually look like a vase. There we go. We've And now we wait again for it to dry. And again, we say, thank goodness, this is acrylic. It's not going to take too long. And in the meantime, if you wanted to add any more greens, you are welcome to do that. I'm just going to think I will add 1 or 2 greens. Just make sure my paintbrush is nice and clean, that I've taken all the, let's do some greens here. Where's my other green? Oh, and this I'm just playing because it's just fun. You know what? And you can always add after you've lifted your stripes up, obviously, if you want to add anything near the bottom. Okay, so now we wait for it to dry, and then we have the big reveal. Da-da-da-da. Now, hopefully, I can see there's still a little bit of a glisten here, but our vase should be more or less dry. So what I'm going to do is tentatively, I am going to peel the masking tape off. Rather do it gently, because sometimes the masking tape can actually rip your paper up, and you really don't want that to happen after you've been to such an effort. Okay. Go. Go. Almost there. This one is well and truly stuck. Okay, so now, as I said before, what you can do, if you want to just add a little bit more of the leaves here. Be careful not to get too carried away, because that's actually what I tend to do. I get so invested in doing something, the next thing I look, I've like totally overdone it. All right, so now we've got pencil lines around there, which we actually want to. Now, if you don't feel confident enough to use a paintbrush, you can just use a black pen. Okay, and that is just to do these lines here. Again, I'm making my paintbrush nice and wet every time. Like I said, I don't like that dry. Sometimes it comes with acrylic, that dry brush look. Okay, and then if there's any areas that we need to touch up where our paint has seeped a little bit, you can just, if you're very pedantic, you can actually just cover them up. Otherwise, you're almost there. And if you want to, you can always just give a little bit of a light, basically. Just where the light is catching. And There we have it. Your vase, your flowers, and isn't it magnificent? Now that you can do on a smaller scale and put it on a little card. You can do it just as a painting, sign your name at the bottom, put it in a little frame on your wall. You can do a series of them, different flowers, different vases. Three together would look amazing on a wall. And yes, in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you different flowers, different vase. Let's have some fun with this.